Chris Lee and Blayne Gilmer of Southeastern 14 here to preview Arkansas's road trip to Oxford, Mississippi to take on the Ole Miss Rebels. You can see that game on the SEC Network, 6:30 Central on Saturday night. Two teams going in opposite directions. Arkansas has hit a rough spot as the losses are piling up against a tough schedule. Ole Miss, in the meantime, rallied from a bad road trip to Alabama in which the offense was awful to a just demolition of LSU, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Defense might have been another thing, but Ole Miss racks up, 706 yards in a home win over LSU. The Rebels stay at home with another big Western Division showdown here, Blayne.
Yeah, it is a big showdown. And if you're in the middle of getting prepared for this, Chris, if you need, some game day snacks or something like that, make sure to check out Chomps in the description below. That's always good fuel for game day. And then also, guys, if you want to partner with us here on Southeastern 14, look on the bottom there and you can hit up caroline.smith@southeastern14.com to partner with us. But back to your point there, Chris, it is a big matchup in terms of just trying to get out of the quicksand, if you will, the quagmire that Arkansas is in. And they're doing it against a team in Lane Kiffin that, the knock, we talked about this on the reaction show, Chris, it's always been on Lane Kiffin. There's never been that signature win over a team that's viewed as a top tier team. Now we can kind of go back and say hindsight's, 2020, is this LSU a top tier team with that defense that they have? They certainly are offensively, but nevertheless, huge win in Oxford last week for Ole Miss, and now they get to welcome the Hogs in, and they're 11.5-point favorite. So I'm excited to break this one down.
Yeah, Arkansas is a little banged up. We'll get to that as we get to the sides of the ball, particularly on offense. And the Hogs are averaging 33.6 a game. Ole Miss giving up 24.6. Arkansas just did not move the ball well at all against Texas A&M, which a lot of that's on A&M's defense. We talked about the injuries, the offensive line troubles. Ole Miss has not been great exactly defensively, but again, has played a relatively tough schedule. Well, what are your thoughts on this side of the matchup when Arkansas has got the ball, Blayne?
Well, they're not going to have Luke Haas, who was a big weapon for him. He broke his collarbone. He's going to be out for the rest of the year. That's a tough loss for them. A guy that was really coming into his own. So that's a weapon that they don't have. They can't run the football right now, even with Rocket Sanders returning. The average, I think, 1.1 yards per carry in that game versus Texas A&M. It was atrocious. It was not very good at all. And then Texas A&M is a tough defensive front, but still, you got to be able to move the ball a little bit better than that. And then not having Haas and things like that, things get piled up on KJ Jefferson, who just has to shoulder so much of this burden. The pick six hurt him. So I just think they've got to find ways. Dan Enos, Sam Pittman have to find ways to, if you are not able just to line up and move people, you don't have confidence and you can do that, then you've got to find ways to get creative in the run game, extension of the run game type stuff that they're going to have to do. And listen, this is not some impenetrable defense we're talking about here with Ole Miss. They gave up. People forget they won this last game 55-49, and they gave up over 600 yards of offense to LSU, even though they had 700. They gave up over 600 themselves. Heck, Chris, they gave up 300-something passing yards, I think, earlier in the year to Georgia Tech and Haynes King, who got beat by Bowling Green this past week. So it's not like this can't be done. But the other side of the ball that we're going to talk about, Ole Miss, is going to kind of dictate things a little bit. But I will say one thing about Ole Miss. They are not afraid defensively to come up and strike you. There was some hitting going on early in that LSU game, but the discipline is not always there, and they were facing a very, very good wide receiving core. I don't think Arkansas has those kind of weapons to challenge, especially with Luke Haas now, who was very versatile, and Sam Pittman taught how much they meant to him. I don't think they have those kind of weapons to stretch the field on them, so I think it's going to help Ole Miss contain Arkansas's run game a little bit, Chris.
Well, I thought some of these stats were a misprint. I had to double check them before I read them. But Arkansas only averaging 5.3 yards per play. That's worse than I would have thought. 4.2 per rushing play, 6.6 per passing play. Almost giving up 4.4 and 6.4 there respectively. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of a disappointing year. The points numbers, Arkansas getting almost 34 a game, are more in line with what we would have thought, but in terms of efficiency and moving the ball, this isn't just what we expected, I don't think, Blayne.
No, it's not. And I think, it's a shame for KJ Jefferson, who I think is a tremendous player, has meant a lot to Arkansas over his time there, has been gutsy. But there's just not a whole lot around him in terms of up front, and then not a whole lot of game changing weapons out there on the outside. Like I said, it's going to have to be Dan Enos getting a little creative and them trying to be able to control the ball, because I think they're going to have to slow this thing down and really try to shorten this game to be able to stay in it with Ole Miss, who is just so high powered offensively. And we're going to get into that here in just a minute.
Yeah, when Arkansas is on defense, Ole Miss is averaging 44.6 points a game. Arkansas giving up 25 points. Ole Miss averaging 7.5 yards a snap. Arguably the best offense in the SEC. It's either them or LSU. Arkansas giving up 5.6 per play. Ole Miss has got an exact 50-50 run pass split, getting 5.5 yards per run play, 9.4 per pass play, turning it over less than 1% of the time. Arkansas giving up 4.3 in the run game, 6.8 in the pass game, and forcing turnovers 3.6% of the time. So that's really helping out an offense that has struggled. But Ole Miss just doesn't turn it over, and it's moving the ball against everybody but Alabama. And we talked about the injuries to Arkansas. McGlothern, one of their better defensive backs, looks like he's going to be out this game. This is going to be a tough go for Arkansas in this one.
Yeah, and lo and behold, the whole thing coming into last week was, is Ole Miss ever going to get their run game going? Well, they had over 300 yards rushing against a good, I don't care what you say about LSU's secondary, everybody has thought going into this thing that LSU's defensive front was a good defensive front with all those, behemoths they have up there, Harold Perkins, everything like that. And what do? They go out and rush for 317 yards, and Quinshon Judkins goes off for 182. So that's got to be an encouraging sign if you're Arkansas coming in with that running game hitting its stride a little bit there. But I'll say this, Arkansas was on the field a lot, almost 70 plays. Texas A&M had 67 plays in that game, and Texas A&M converted 8 of 15 third downs in that one. Arkansas's got to be able to get off the field just in regular ways, not just turning the ball over, which they do a good job of creating turnovers, but they have to be able to not let people extend possessions on them, especially when field position is a premium when it comes to your offense as well, not being able to move things. So Arkansas is trying their best to play complementary football, having Dwight McGlothern out, with these talented wide receivers that Ole Miss has in Zachary Franklin and Tre Harris especially. That's going to be tough because McGlothern's their best cover corner. He's got a concussion. I doubt he's going to be able to come back for this game since he sustained the concussion during the game there. So, it's just a tough deal. I think Travis Williams is playing an aggressive style of ball, and I think he's brought a good mentality to this defense over there, Chris, for Arkansas. But eventually, if you're just on the field that much, you get worn down.
Wrapping up some stuff here. Neither team has been very disciplined. Arkansas getting penalized an average of 63 yards a game. Ole Miss 69, although I think Arkansas wasn't penalizing its A&M. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. Special teams, both these pretty good. According to the SP Plus ratings, Arkansas 6th in the country in special teams, Ole Miss 25th. And some other stuff. We've got the line and the over under down there, but we always give you some other computer numbers. ESPN's FPI has Ole Miss as a 14-point favorite with the home field advantage. SP Plus has that at 10. Jeff Sagarin has got that at 10. Average those three in the line, and it's 12 points, which again is very close to what Vegas thinks. Blayne, I like Ole Miss to win it. I just think that offense right now is pretty unstoppable. And with Arkansas getting banged up and having trouble achieving offensive consistency, you'd be hard pressed to convince me that the Rebels don't win this one.
Yeah, I just think if Ole Miss is able to run the ball even close to what they were able to run the ball against LSU, that it's going to be because we know that's what predicates everything for Lane Kiffin. They can get the tempo going, then the big plays come to the passing game. It's all predicated off getting that run game going. And when they did that against LSU, when Ole Miss has that going, that you saw, hey, it's like Lane Kiffin and that offense smelled blood in the water a little bit. You saw a different gear pop up there. And if that's even close, it's going to be tough for Arkansas to match that in terms of points wise over there for them. But going forward, Chris, I just think that Arkansas has got to try to get healthy as quick as possible. I do want to say, prayers out and thoughts and prayers out to John Morgan, who collapsed on the field towards the end of the game, had a neck injury. They say he's alert, responsive, said, he told Sam Pittman, hey, I'm going to be fine, but we don't know the full extent of everything yet. So just pray well wishes for him. But overall, I agree with you. I think Ole Miss takes care of business in this one, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them cover the 11.5.
All right, we're predicting every single game involving SEC teams and FBS teams this season. Best way to get those, hit that subscribe button, enable your notifications. For Blayne Gilmer, I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 14. We'll see you again soon.